I'm back here with the Deliveroo riders strike in London. We've got at least a couple hundred, maybe about 250, maybe 300 in total here in London, hundreds more around the UK. We've also got international solidarity strikes happening around the world. But across London, riders with IWGB flags are putting workers first and saying, we must end poverty pay, we must have a guaranteed living wage, we must have safety at work protections, no more harassment, no more sexual assault, we must have proper worker status so we can have sick pay, holiday pay, all the basic workers' rights. Here's our President Alex Marshall and General Secretary Henry Lopez here at the strike in London, joined by hundreds more Deliveroo riders here. And those are our demands right there. We want pay, we want rights, we want security, safety. Thousands of riders have joined companies like Deliveroo. They are now key workers of our economy, given what they've been up to here during the pandemic. Vamos! During the pandemic, they've become key workers, delivering food for families, while everybody's been locked down and isolated and sheltering. These riders have kept the country, they've kept everything moving. They've kept us ticking, delivering us food, sometimes on poverty pay, sometimes on pay as low as £2 an hour. What kind of company boasts £2 an hour pay for their workers? Here in London, we're around the stock exchange, and in London, Deliveroo are floating their company for £5.5 billion. It was £9 billion 2 weeks ago. Worker pressure, direct action strikes, that's made that price drop. Because even investors, even Parliament, everybody is realising public opinion is on our side now, and they are saying that inhuman working conditions, we will not stand for them. We will not stand for poverty pay any longer. We are striking today all around the country. We're here in London, there's a couple of hundred here in London. We've got hundreds more rather, across the country, in Sheffield, in York, in Reading. And there's a real orchestra, a cacophony, a polyphony of sound here in London as riders rev their motors and as they sound their horns in solidarity with workers across the country on poverty pay with Deliveroo and other gig economy platforms. They're demanding workers' rights, as the Supreme Court recently judged for Uber drivers, as the Spanish and Italian courts ruled for Deliveroo riders. We're saying in the UK, we must have those rights too. We must have guaranteed protections against poverty pay. We must have basic workers' rights. We will not be taken for a ride any longer. That's what these riders are demanding. They're demanding worker status. They are saying these billions, Deliveroo CEO Will Shu, these billions that you're making here on the stock exchange, these billions are off our backs. the backs of riders on these cycles, on these motorbikes. Those billions are impossible without the workers here, the hundreds of workers here, the thousands across the country. You cannot make those billions without these riders right here who come into work, who deliver food. And they're making noise here because we're outside the buildings of T. Rowe Smith, of some banks, of investment companies here, trust funds. We're here where the wealthiest 1% have their offices, and we're here saying that 1%, the billions that you've profited from during the pandemic, they're off the backs of these guys and girls, these workers, these people here who are striking in solidarity with each other, demanding those rights that you see there. Rights, pay, safety. Rights, pay, safety are the demands of these riders. Rights, pay and safety for these riders, without which the billions at Deliveroo that Will Shu, the CEO, has made, they are impossible. Without these riders, they are made on the backs of these riders here, these workers, demanding basic workers' rights here in London and around the country. We've got a couple hundred here in London, we've got many hundred more across the country, and we're going to be moving onwards. You can hear the cacophony of sound here from the revving of the machines, of the motors, from the buzzing of the horns. And these riders are wanting an end to poverty pay. Some make as little as £2 an hour on some shifts. They want a basic workers' rights settlement. They want a living wage. They want an end to harassment at work. They want safety at work. They want the basic rights that workers across the country normally get. Flexibility must not come at a cost of basic workers' rights. These people must feed their families, put food on the table, pay for rent, up and down the country. Riders are striking, saying enough is enough. They're saying we've been taken for a ride too long already. They're saying we will not stand for this. They're saying that through the pandemic, we've delivered your food. They're saying that through the pandemic, these billions that Deliveroo have made are off the backs of these workers. The capital that you have made, Deliveroo, CEO Will Shu, all the top brass of the gig economy, the capital you've made, the billions and billions that you have profited from, they're impossible without the labour of these workers. And these workers are saying we want rights, we want pay, we want proper workers' rights for these riders here. We're saying we've been taken for a ride for too long, and we're gonna be moving on shortly. We're gonna be moving on shortly down here through Cannon Street. And we're just sorting out here where we're going to move to now. Sorry guys, change your plan. So we're saying through this pandemic, the capital, the billions that Will Shu, that CEO Deliveroo Will Shu, is now making £26 million off this IPO. We're saying that all those millions, all those millions and the billions made across the gig economy during the pandemic, the most profitable sector during the pandemic. Why is it profitable? Because people have been locking down, but more importantly, because these workers have been putting up with poverty pay so they can put food on the table. But now they're saying we want a guaranteed living wage, we want safety at work, We want the basic workers' rights that we deserve after keeping the country ticking along during the pandemic while everybody keeps safe. Remember, even at the height of COVID, these workers were risking their lives, their health, to work. Some have been riding while they've been pregnant. Some have been riding while they've had an injured arm, an injured body, an injured limb, injured body parts. These riders don't have sick pay or holiday pay. They are effectively modern slaves. This slave labour will not continue. Today we're striking, we're withholding our labour. We're withholding our labour today to say the capital that you make, Deliveroo, is off the backs of this labour, and we're withholding that labour. You must give us our workers' rights. So we're going to be moving ahead here. Oh, whoops. Apologies for that. You just got a glimpse of our press officer. We are here on Dowgate Hill in London. Again, it's about a couple hundred, probably a bit more at this point now, in London. Many more striking at home who are turning off their apps, but also many here. We're just sorting out our routes. We've been keeping on the vehicles here, keeping as much social distance as possible as you go through these narrow London streets. And we're just hoping to move along here. We're just sorting out some traffic logistics. So I'll remind you that Deliveroo have announced their IPO. Conditional trading starts today. Deliveroo expected to go for £9 billion has been moved down to £5.5 billion. Investment groups, about 12 to our count, have withdrawn their funding from Deliveroo, citing workers' rights. We are saying here that the writing is on the wall. The Uber Supreme Court judgment, the judgments in Italy and in Spain for Deliveroo riders. The writing is on the wall. Workers' rights should be a reality for these riders. No more poverty pay, no more harassment at work. Basic workers' rights for these riders who have kept the country going during the pandemic. Everybody's been locked down. These riders have been going on through the height of COVID as transmissions reach their heights. They've been risking their health and safety. Many coming to work with injuries, many pregnant women. And we're going to be crossing over now in an orderly manner. And I'm going to race ahead. So remember, Deliveroo isn't the only company. We've got Uber Eats, we've got Stewart. There are many gig economy platforms, many riders across the platforms. Some who work. Sorry?
Is this a government building? Why is there still a lot of police outside it?
I don't know, Shaf, it's there outside. We're going to keep social distancing. So we're here. We're here saying that in the gig economy, flexibility. Please keep social distancing, guys. Social distancing, please. Social distancing, please. Social distancing. So we're here. We're here in London. There's a couple of hundred here in London, perhaps more now. I'm here at the front of the strike. And there are many gig economy platforms that have made a killing, a huge profit, a huge packet out of this pandemic off the back of these workers here. And these workers are saying that enough is enough. We've been taken for a ride. We are saying
I've got a really lovely video from the bridge of you all coming under London Wall, which I've tweeted out. Guardian are going to put it up on their thing today. So I'll message it to you directly.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Jack. I really appreciate that. Nice one. Jack Schenker from The Guardian, a really great journalist here. We have many journalists, we have media, you have Sky News, Al Jazeera, BBC, ITV, Channel 4, all the broadcasters are here to cover this historic day here in the gig economy. Historic day in the gig economy and in the history, really, of capitalism, of society, because the gig economy has been running roughshod over workers' rights across the world, using the myth of flexibility in order to get away with upholding legal workers' rights, their legal obligations. We had a judgment from the Supreme Court saying Uber drivers should have workers' rights. That has to extend through the gig economy. The writing is on the wall. The writing is on the wall. We must have collective bargaining. We must have trade union recognition for the IWGB here, who have organised this strike, who are here with riders in solidarity, fighting for the basic workers' rights, basic conditions. And it's a real cacophony of noise. IWGB are famed for their loud protests, their music, their hype, their vibes. And we're here saying that the financial class, deliveroo, will shoe the billions and the millions that you have made doing nothing. They are off the back of this labour that we're withholding today. We're withholding this labour so you give us workers' rights. We will not stop organising direct action, strike action until we get our workers' rights. So we're gonna get some photo opportunities sorted for the media so they can snap.
Everyone put your mask on, stay socially distant, and come over here for a photo.
So we're all gonna gather now. We're all gonna gather for a photo in front of the building. Workers are gonna gather around the building for a photo with masks on. Workers are gonna gather in front of the building. We're gonna gather in front of the building here to take a photo. And we are saying that the millions and the billions that have been made here in the stock exchange are off the backs of this labour that we're withholding today. We want a guaranteed living wage, an end to poverty pay, an end to harassment at work. We've got a big strike here. Shame on Roo! 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 Social distancing, guys, if possible, please. Shame on Roo! 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 Shame on Roo!